There are some terms that have been coined, invented at a time when they probably made sense, but they lose their relevance and usefulness over time. Work-life balance is one such concept. Um, the term work-life balance almost seems to suggest that there's work and there's life and they're two separate things and you need to balance them. And I totally get it. I get the significance of it and the significance that this term might have held at a time probably when people went to work in factories and they had like 9 to 5 hours working hours, and they went out of their house and they probably did work that was difficult, toiling, and it was like exhausting, and then they came back and they had their life. And that's of course something that many of us, me included, have chose to challenge, and we no longer need to live by those definitions of work, that work needs to be something separate and removed from us, our lives, and the stuff that we enjoy and the stuff that makes us bloom and thrive. And therefore work-life balance, even before COVID times, had lost its significance, at least for people like me. Now during COVID times, now when there's work from home, the term work-life balance is actually, I would say, it's not lost its significance. It's become a problem. It's become a problem in people's realities. See, I do work with mental models. I help people reframe the way they look at their lives, the way they look at their work, the way they look at themselves. Because the way we frame our lives, our work, our subjective reality is really the one that influences our well-being, the one that influences how we think about things, and therefore how we feel about things, and therefore how we show up in life, and therefore how our experience in life is, and therefore how we create our lives, right? So it all starts with really the sense making inside our heads, our subjective reality of how we are making sense of these things. So if we are holding on to a concept like work-life balance, and now because of COVID, we are working from home, it's understandable that this term will not let us live in peace, because when we're working, we don't want to include that work as part of our life, and we think of our relationships and kids and other things that we do maybe as separate from our work or separate from our life. And then we have all these very different piecemeal things that we imagine should be kept very separate, but we can't. And then they all want our time because we're at home and we're in the same place. So even if you were someone who was able to separate out all of these things, it might have worked for you when you got up in the morning, you sent your kid to school, you gave him or her breakfast, all of that. You had your mother time or your father time or your wife time, and then you went to work and you donned that hat of me, the professional at work, and you related with your colleagues and you did that, and then you came back home and you said, okay, I take off my work hat, and I did. And I realized that there's no, by the way, in reframing, in mental models, there's no good, bad, right, wrong. So I realized that might have worked for some people. But now, is that working for you? The people for whom those tight boundaries worked are actually the people who are now most like, what's happened to my life, right? Because you can't do that anymore. You have a kid with you all the time. You have your husband with you all the time. You have your dog with you all your time. I have my dog sitting right here now. And you have your work with you all the time, right? Because people think they can call you up anytime and schedule things anytime because you're at home. And yes, I realize that all of this can seem very overwhelming if you look at it. But it's overwhelming if you look at it from that lens, from that frame that you used to see it earlier, where they needed to be separate things that you had to juggle and balance. What if you throw away that framework because it's not working for you these days? Bring it back if you want after COVID times. Bring it back when you're no longer working from home. But when you're working from home now, during these times, what if you throw away that framework? It's just a framework. It's not the only way to live and work. And what if you embrace a totally new framework? What if you actually own your life? Own everything that you do in your life, which is your work, which includes dealing with your clients and bosses and colleagues and customers over Zoom, which includes your relationships, your spouse, your kids, who you have in your life for a reason, because you want to, right? Which includes your taking care of your house. Let me show you my little dog here. Okay, she's not coming in, okay? And all the things, there she is, all the things that you've chosen willingly into your life, and say, okay, now this is my artwork, this is my puzzle, and how would I want to reconfigure all of these? Do I have enough space now do you want to see her? Okay, she's scared of the camera. Okay, do you want to see that? And that's totally possible. You just have to use a new lens, frame, and paradigm for that. Okay, keeping this short, so I'm inviting you for a session next week on Thursday. What's the date? You'll find it in the post below. And this is a 90-minute session to help you own your life. Okay, so we're going to look at a paradigm busting session here, just for you to see the beautiful constellation that is your life. And I get it, this is not just about me, and I just want all my me time, and I do. No, none of us lives like the me. The reason you have a family, the reason you have people in your life, the reason you have relationships and a spouse is because you want them and you want to spend time with them. There's a give and take. There is a beautiful enriching experience, right? And you want to make space to include all of that in a way that works for you, in a way that doesn't have to separate you from you or you from them. Same thing with your work. You've chosen your work. You've decided to work because it contributes to you in some way. So embrace that. And just look, and believe me, you can do all of that. It's just that you need to drop some of the older frameworks and assumptions and judgment metrics through which you had evaluated maybe the well-being or work-life balance or all of that. And reconfiguration your beautiful piece of art, which is your life and your creation, in a way that now works for you. And you can have all these elements in it, and you don't have to separate yourself from any of those elements, and you don't have to listen to anyone else who says, for example, that if I'm making a professional video, my dog is not welcome to make an entry into it, or my kid is not. You can redefine those things for yourself and paint your own life. So this session is called Owning Your Life. I'm welcoming you to it. It's you can see details for the sign up below and send us an email if you're interested. And I look forward to working with you on that.